All right, we are almost ready. It's getting ready. It's preparing the stream for us.
All right. I'm impressed by this, by the way.
Oh, thank you. It's all these cool tools that we've learned during the pandemic.
Yeah.
All right, we are live on Facebook. Good afternoon, everyone. It is Financial Friday, and we have our special guest, Nick Camponley with Answer One Capital. My name is Heather Fay, and I am with the Roanoke Regional Small Business Development Center, and we are here to help you grow your business. And we are excited that it is Friday, and as we are on our third session of this series, as you all have heard or may not be aware of, April is Financial Literacy Month. So we have found several local partners to talk about different pieces of finance that will help you with your business. So as I mentioned today, we are here with Nick, and Nick, let's introduce yourself. Who is the founder and owner of Answer One Capital? Nick, take it away.
Hello, good afternoon. Happy Friday. Yay. As Heather said, I am the founder and owner of Answer One Capital. I am, just a little quick background on me. I have a long lending background, working with banks and in their back room offices, secondary, selling packages of mortgages to Wall Street and underwriting loans and that kind of thing. So lending is kind of in my blood, and I'm very entrepreneurial. So I pursued a number of different types of businesses, but I ended up where I'm most comfortable, I guess, at the end of the day, and most knowledgeable, and where I can help the most people. And that's we're local here in Roanoke, and that's what we're here to do. We're looking to try and help the local business community grow their businesses, and find the funds and capital they need to navigate difficult situations. COVID, as we know, was difficult for some, great for others, and start their business, grow their business. Businesses go through stages, and we want to be there with financing options for all different stages of business. So
that's awesome.
That's kind of who we are and what we do.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Nick. I recall meeting you. I was just blown away about all these different financial solutions that are out there for businesses, as you mentioned, that are just getting started, that are wanting to grow their business, that may feel like, okay, need additional capital, and what options are there? So we are so excited to have you here with us today as we start to unpack some of these different solutions that you and your colleagues here locally are able to help our small businesses that are in the region grow. All right, so you had shared with us, if you were to ask 10 small businesses, where would they go for financing? And what did you say?
Well, it's funny because, their banks are out there, right? That's what people would say. They, if you ask 10 small business owners or entrepreneurs getting ready to start a business, where they go for financing, and all 10 of them would tell you the bank. And banks serve a wonderful purpose, and they absolutely are integral parts of our communities. But they don't do everything, right? Which is the reason for Answer One Capital and why we wanted to start this business, because we wanted to fill those holes of financing that businesses need that the banks don't always fill. Like I said, they're a very good source of financing, but they don't work for every situation and every point of growth or whatever. And that's where we come in, and we have a number of ways we can finance things and help businesses when the banks tell them no. In fact, I think I've told you that banks are some of my best referral sources, because when they turn somebody down, they want to help that person still, so they'll put them in touch with me a lot of times.
That's terrific. And I love the collaboration and synergy and the referrals between you and our local banking institutions. That's awesome. So Nick, tell us a little bit about, the different financial solutions that Answer One Capital can provide for businesses.
It's a pretty broad field. There's a lot of options that people don't know about. And then when we start to dig into the reasons that they're looking for financing, there may be several different ways that we can finance the same situation. So for example, some of the financing startups, that's one thing we have financing for that banks are sometimes a little bit shy about. So we can provide startup capital and that kind of thing. If a business has started up and they used funds that were maybe kind of pricey funds for them, they used their personal credit card or something like that, we can, once they have some business time in business and experience, we can do a refinance and consolidate their debts and lower the payments and give their business more room to grow. And there's, I guess, again, several ways we can do that. We can finance equipment. So like if a business, if it's a startup, or even if they're growing and they need more equipment, new equipment to get to the next level, there's different ways of financing that. And strangely enough, if you have equipment and you're looking to get capital and you own the equipment outright, we can actually finance the equipment, refinance the equipment, pull cash out of it to be able to finance. So there's so many different ways to be able to help small businesses find money and resources to grow, expand, or deal with difficult times.
That's huge. The one piece that I thought was so interesting is with the equipment and thinking about different types of financing and being able to refinance the equipment to have additional access to capital. And with that, so kind of thinking hypothetically, Nick, if a business wanted to purchase something, they were working on a purchase order, is there financing for that?
Yes. So another source of funds would be either accounts receivable. So if a business, accounts receivable financing is pretty much only for businesses who sell to businesses. In other words, account receivable lenders won't lend if your customer is the public. But if you have business customers and they pay 60, 90, 120 days, and keeping up with the accounts receivable is challenging, one thing you can do is you can borrow against the, it's not really even borrowing, it's actually you're selling your accounts receivable. And so there's some real advantages to that. A couple things. One, it takes accounts receivable, can take accounts receivable off your plate, which, if it's become a cumbersome and tedious process, and it'll give you the cash sooner. I've had businesses that use the cash sooner to purchase things at a discount because they can buy it in advance. Now that they have the money, they don't have to wait for the money, then buy it like as they need it. They can buy it in advance and get discounts in addition to that. So with the discounts they can get, plus offloading the cost of doing their own accounts receivable, it covers the cost of what the accounts receivable financing is. So all kinds of ways to look at that. And as you were mentioning, purchase orders. So, I'm working with a landscaping company that has a big job that's really kind of outside of their financial reach to be able to do. They have the equipment and they have the labor to do it, but they don't have the funds to float them for all the plants and mulch and the labor up front until the job is complete, and then they get paid. So what they'd like to do is say, hey, we've got this contract for this project, and it's a legitimate contract, and we can verify that. We can lend them the money to do the work they do, and then when they finish the job, we all get paid back. So they get paid, our financing gets paid, and everybody's happy, and it gives them the ability to do those bigger jobs that they couldn't do. Similarly, I have a guy, one of my companies that I work with, he sells equipment, pumps to the mining industry. And he's limited as to what he can do because he doesn't offer financing, and sometimes his customers have really up and down cash flow. But if I can finance his customers, it gives him the ability to do jobs that he couldn't do. So that's another way of looking at things. Maybe you, as the small business, don't need the financing, but if you could offer it to your customers, it would open up some avenues of business for you.
That is fascinating. I hadn't thought about it from that angle, and to open up on both sides for new customers coming in and current customers, but also providing, like you're mentioning, the access to these larger jobs that, because it does, the capital to be able to purchase all the plants and other pieces and parts to that project can be a big lift for businesses that they feel like, I really want to do this, but I don't have this piece. So finding that financial solution is huge.
Yeah, I tell businesses, don't make a decision that you can't do this until you talk to me. There may be ways you would have never thought of to do things that we can help you with. And there's 3 rules I like. I find myself telling business owners over and over again to live by. One of them is business is business. A lot of us we got into business because it's something we personally love or like. I use the example of, if you are a muffin shop and you love to bake, and that's personally gratifying to you, but if you bring that into your bottom line business decisions, it's not helping you grow, right? Sometimes it can be a hindrance. You get fearful of doing this or that. It brings us to the second point, which is business is economics. So look at the bottom line. If an action of doing something is going to make you more money than it's going to cost you, then that's probably a good action to take, right? That's why we're all in business. We do this and make more than it costs us, and that's how we make profit. And then the third thing is trust your instincts as a business owner. You know your industry. Trust and verify, I say. So if you have an idea to expand or whatever, trust that instinct, but also verify it with good partners like the Small Business Development Center and your accountant, and that the resources. There's plenty of resources in the business community that are here to help you with those decisions and kind of let you look at them from a different perspective, maybe pull the personalization out of it for you.
That is such a good point, Nick. And I agree with you. I think the bottom line decision, business is business. I think can often be a challenge for a lot of business owners, and they're so passionate about it. And it started in this business that they've grown and just continue to expand is started with something they're super passionate about, or they love making, or they're, an engineer and they're developing all these different products and goods that in the service industry. It's so interesting. And you bring up such a good point too about the trust and verify of, your business better than any of us do, but there are resources here to help you grow and expand, and finding, circling back to our conversation today about these different financial solutions that can be really a game changer for our small businesses to grow their business, regardless of what that industry is. are there any specific industries that, you tend to work with more, Nick, or do you work with all different types of businesses?
All different types, anything from restaurants to industrial, manufacturing, to construction and equipment. And we also do, one of the types of financing I haven't mentioned here, and it's broad based too, is commercial real estate. So we work with a lot of commercial realtors or small businesses, type of the kind of fix and flip property owners who are looking for some quick financing just for a short period of time, or a business owner who owns a building but needs, again, maybe to refinance it, to pull some equity out of it to use for operating capital, or whatever they need, or expand or get some additional equipment, or purchase a building. So again, there's the number of things we can do is so deep. We would have to probably have 3 more sessions at least to go through them all, but that's why I'm here. You come to me, you tell me what your issue is, and I'm going to do the best I can to find the right solution and the right lending partner for you. I work with companies all over the country that specialize in, I have one company that I work with that specializes in accounts receivable just for the medical industry. Yeah, so, and the reason is nobody likes to do accounts receivable for medical because you never know exactly what the insurance company is going to pay. So they have it down to a science, and just to give you some of the level of detail we can get into.
That's huge that you found industry partners that specialize in different types of financing and specifically different industries. That's terrific. And such a resource for you to grow your business, which then helps grow other businesses here locally and beyond. You mentioned a little bit about the acquisition of businesses and working capital. Will you share a little bit more about some of those opportunities for those solutions? Yeah,
so working capital is kind of a catch-all term for funds you need between getting paid, doing the work and getting paid. And we've talked a little bit about that, ways to acquire working capital. You can do purchase order financing. You can, refinance debt and maybe pull additional cash out. You can refinance equipment or property and also get money for working capital. So I think of working capital as kind of a catch-all term that could use any one of these lending resources, depending on what the particular situation is for the business that I'm talking to. Everybody's got a strength, and how can we help you leverage that to get to the next level where you want to go with your business. So that's kind of what I'd say about working capital. And then business acquisition, there's a lot. Businesses get acquired for different reasons. Somebody wants to get into owning a business. They don't own a business, but they want to own a business. Or a business wants to acquire one of their competitors and grow stronger, and so we have business acquisition funds for all those types of things. Oftentimes, and we have like medical partners buy out other medical partners. Somebody wants to retire and that's their cash out is to be able to have their partner buy them out. So, and we have funds for all those things. And one thing we didn't talk about was bridge loans. So
yes, thank you.
Sometimes you might, maybe you qualify for the bank product, or the bank's willing to give you a loan, but a lot of times their process is arduous and long. But it's good money when you get through the process, but that doesn't help you right now. And you need something to get you to when the bank funds, and when the bank funds, That's what we do. We provide capital for you to wait for your financing to come through.
That's terrific. Thank you. That was on my list to ask you about. So that's really helpful. I'm sure for a lot of different businesses in a variety of different industries that having access to those bridge loans is super helpful.
That's the fun thing about this is that I don't deal with just one type of business. So I talk to a lot of different business owners, and I get to learn a lot about a lot of different industries. And I don't always know the answer one, but I don't always know the answer. And the fun part of my job is finding the answer for them. You know, if I don't have the answer right off the top of my head, who can I find networking with the lenders that might resolve your problem for you or your funding issue?
That's fantastic. And you mentioned early on, Nick, a little bit about startup capital and access to that. Would you share a little bit more about that's something we get asked all the time about? What are the options? I have this idea, I've gone through, I've created my business plan, I've run all the numbers, and I'm ready. I need some access to capital to start my business. And, you know, as you mentioned, so many, you know, they don't have the access, or, you know, they've put money on their personal credit card, or they've done a variety of different things to get their business up and running, you know, bootstrapping it, if you will. What are some options for those business owners?
Yeah, so believe it or not, credit cards are not actually a bad way to start your business. It's borrowing funds just like anything else. If you can't get, you know, SBA offers a number of different programs, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the banks you're working with offer the breadth of product that the SBA will allow. You know, some banks want to minimize their loan amount to 500,000. So if you just need a small amount of capital, you know, that's not necessarily a good lending partner for you. But what we can do is we can find sources of financing similar to some degree to credit cards, but that report to your business credit. And the advantage there is that once you've done that and you have just a little bit of time in business, you have the ability to refinance that. And a lot of times this type of capital is revolving. So you only pay on what you use. And if you get it started that way, build your business credit. And at the end of a period of time, say a year, 18 months, we refinance that. And now you still have this line of credit you can use anytime, but you've refinanced and consolidated the loan, you know, into maybe better terms or whatever we can do for you. So we like to go kind of step by step to help businesses achieve a step-by-step kind of growth. Nothing happens overnight. You don't go from starting the business to, you know, your end goal. Yeah, that's why we all have goals. We have to get there incrementally, right? And that's what we help businesses do. There's even some of that financing actually comes with 0% interest for a period of time. And maybe that's enough time for us to get you up through and get the business up and running.
That's fantastic. So many options. What other financing solutions do you offer that we haven't talked about today?
Well, we've talked about a lot, and mostly from the perspective of there's different ways to do a lot of things.
Right.
Truthfully, I may not even know all the options available till I know a situation, and we can discuss what the strengths of that are and where we can find, you know, everybody wants leverage, whether it's cash flow or you know, equity in equipment or property or something like that, that they have, you know, if they can see that a business is growing really well. I had a business I was working with that was they had a bankruptcy, the business did. But year over year, they had increased their sales by 400%. And we're under new management, and the lender could see the change. And what they were looking for was money to get a piece of equipment that would change their margins from 18% to 52%, because it would help them bring more of their manufacturing in-house instead of paying for parts of their manufacturing outside. And it just made a lot of sense to the lender. Here they are growing the business without this. If they had this, what would it do for them? You know, so they could overlook the bankruptcy to be able to provide them funds.
That's huge. And what a game changer to go from 18% to 52. Oh my gosh, that's a game changer for that business.
Huge. Yeah, very, very huge. So that's why I have these basic types of financing categories, but a lot of times they get blended depending on what the customer needs, what the business needs.
That makes sense. And it's great to have a thinking pair to talk through these different solutions that may work, you know, like you said, in tandem with each other, or that is a separate piece to really help, again, grow the business. That's huge.
I guess if everybody were to leave today with one thought from me, it would be, don't just say that can't happen, right? I don't know, maybe you're right, but until we explore, and I want, small businesses to know the amount of resources that are out there are huge. So it's worth it an ask. And with us, it doesn't cost anything for us to find out for you. So it's worth finding out.
That's terrific. Well, and I agree with you. It is worth an ask. The worst that someone's going to come back and tell you is no, or,
right.
or not no, or not right now, or have you thought about this as another possible solution for you, especially from the financing components?
Well, and particularly if you've already heard no, right? If you've heard no from a bank, well, a lot of times people think that's the end of the road. And I want them to know it's not the end of the road. Get on board. Let's see how much further down that road we can go.
Absolutely. Wonderful. We've just got a couple minutes left. Is there anything else you want to share with us today, Nick, or with those that are watching live or watching our recording?
Like I said, if there was one thought I want small business owners to leave with today, it's that the resources are out there. They're here. They're local in Roanoke. You can actually meet me physically, but we're here to try and help the businesses of this area grow and expand, and we can do business all over the country, and we have lenders all over the country. So if I don't have a home for it, I'm going to look for it for you. So.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Nick, for Financial Friday. We look forward to continuing to collaborate with you and find some more solutions as new things come available or other financing opportunities. Please let us know, when we want to be able to share that with the regional business community. I think would appreciate those other opportunities that may be available to them that they haven't thought about yet.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Thank you for having me, and happy Friday.
Yes. Happy Friday.